Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it? I am the game, you don't wanna play me. I am control, no way you can shake me. I am heavy debt, no way you can pay me. I am the pain, and I know you can't take me. Look over your shoulder, ready to run like a Cleveland bitch from a smoking gun. I am the game, and I make the rules. So move on out here and die like a fool. Trying to figure out what my move's gonna be. Come on over, sucker, why don't you ask me? Don't you forget there's a price you can pay. 'Cause I am the game and I want to play. Time to play the game.
What's up, everybody? It's the Baby and Jaguar coming at you swaggin' with another video, and today's gonna be a special video, man. Today we're gonna be focusing on one spec book, and that's because I believe in this book, man. All right. Normally when I do my speculations, I'm like all over the place, super zany, super crazy, pulling stuff out of my ass, and that still applies to this, man. But this book is special because I feel a little something about this, man. I've done a video like this before. I did one last year for Miles Morales for Ultimate Fallout, when I declared that that was the ultimate spec book, and this was right before it blew up, man. It was bubbling beneath the surface, and I kept telling y'all, man. A lot of people doubted that book, and it came through, you know. But today we have another book, man, that I feel, and it's very early. So this book, I mean, I know even with the way the market is right now, this book is being overlooked. But and there's some reasons I think that that's happening. And the book in question I'm talking about is Infinite Crisis #5, and it's the first appearance of Jaime Reyes as the Blue Beetle. And I'm talking about the Jim Lee variant. There's two variants, but the Jim Lee variant, that's the money book, man. So we're talking about Blue Beetle, man. Yeah, hear me out, man. Hear me out. This is gonna be very thoughtful video, guys. Like, I did some research. I thought about Jaime Reyes for like 3 days straight, and I did all the necessary research. Not all of it, most of it. I still have some more digging to do, but I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I came to the conclusion that this is the book. This is the next Grail, modern Grail, right? When it comes to way comics work, is that we get a modern book, we get a big book every once in a while, right? Venom 300, Batman Adventures 12. For a while, there was kind of a drought after that. You say New Mutants 98, and Miles Morales, Ultimate Fallout 4. You know, these are books that, you know, define themselves as Grail books for a generation of books. And I think it's important that we take them into consideration. The more modern we get, the harder it is for a book to stand out and shine on their own, and really reach that status, that Grail status, you know. For me, Grail status is crossing that 4-figure mark. For me, that's what it is. And I believe in this book. I believe that this book has a potential. I believe Jaime Reyes has the potential. And I'm going to talk to you guys about why. there's a lot of videos out there you guys can look at for the background of the Blue Beetle. I'm not gonna go over all that. Just know that he is a legacy character, but he's also like, in my opinion, the best one of the legacy characters. And that might be something that goes for and against him because Miles Morales, um, had the popularity of Spider-Man behind him. But at the same time, he was also kind of under the shadow of Peter Parker for a while. It's kind of still is. But for Blue Beetle, I think one Blue Beetle's never had that huge popularity, but I think that might help him out in that he becomes the Blue Beetle. Like he's not under the shadow of anyone else. And this is a character that debuted in 2005. And since 2005, he's already grown in popularity. And we've seen him have multiple appearances in many forms of media. He's been on Brave and the Bold as a sidekick for Batman. He was Young Justice, one of the most popular DC animated series. Very good series. He also appeared in Injustice 2, the video game. He's made a lot of appearances in all kinds of comics. He's had his own solo series. He did appear in the Smallville back in 2010. That was trash. All right, that's like his one little smudge on his record. But other than that, like his appearances have been pretty solid, man. Like the Teen Titans movies, all that stuff. And believe it or not, I spent a lot of the weekend watching a lot of his appearances. And I like the Brave and the Bold one and his Young Justice season 2. If you guys are interested, pretty much watch the entire season 2, and you get a lot of who Jaime Reyes is, and he's very interesting when it comes to his powers. As a video by Ivan the Unstoppable, he kind of does a great job of telling you what his powers are. This guy has the ability to be Godbone, right? In a way, he's kind of like Cyborg, where he has the ability to tap into the internet and stuff like that. He's kind of like Iron Man with his suit, but also think about it like his personality, the way he is, the kid. He he's very much reminiscent of Peter Parker and his little nerdy awkwardness and stuff like that. Very much like Peter Parker. And also because he gets his powers from a special scarab, alien scarab thing that locks onto his spine. And this thing is sentient, like it's conscious. So we also have a symbiote dimension to him as well, which makes him even more interesting. And there's so many things, so many directions that they can go with this. Um, One, he's young. He's a young character. He's got cool armor, cool weapons, and with the scarab, the alien scarab, that they can do a lot of storytelling. And he's also got the potential for comedy, which translates very well into the bigger screen. So DC announced that they were going to do a movie back in 2018, but the project's been dragging. However, recently they just announced a director, Angel Manuel Soto, right? And so they're pretty much greenlit this thing. It's supposed to go into production this fall, and that's really cool that DC has kind of like greenlit this project. A lot of it, I think, is because of Miles Morales. The success of Miles Morales has opened the door for this character. I think for the longest time it was believed that minority characters could not succeed as leads, but I think with the arrival of Miles Morales, that's changed. Because for a lot of these kids now, they all want to be Miles Morales. They don't want to be Peter Parker. They want to be Miles Morales. The director that was selected, Angel Manuel Soto, I had never heard of this guy before, man. So I went over and I'm gonna leave a link to it. It's an interview called Primera Tanda. It's in Spanish, which I think that kind of like subdues the hype for this book as well. Why this book I feel is gonna go under the radar as well is because of the language barrier. But when you take down the language barrier, you can see there's a lot of excitement for this character in Latin America. Because Latin America loves Marvel, and they're just super excited to get representation on the screen. It's just cool, man. You know, it's just cool for people to see that. But anyways, in this interview, the director Angel Manuel Soto, he seems to be genuinely excited about this project, and he does say that he did give out like a diplomatic statement. But in this interview, he says that you know he feels like it's about time that that they greenlit a project for a Latino superhero, and he is super excited to be at the helm. He says that when he talked to DC, DC pretty much gave him the keys and be like, "Here, do your thing, bro." And I think that's what DC has been lacking. I think with the Justice League and stuff, you had a lot of people maybe sabotaging each other because they wanted to get their chance to fulfill their vision of the Justice League or whatever. So that kind of just hurt. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Um, but I think that with this is cool with that they're letting Soto run the show. And this is how deep I went. This is how deep I went with my research. All right. So I had never heard of Angel Manuel Soto. Right. He's a Puerto Rican director. He did his two big projects were La Granja, and he did Charm City Kings, which came out last year. So yeah, Charm City Kings, man. I'm like, man, I never heard of that. So I went ahead and watched it. It's on HBO Max if you guys are interested on that. Um, and Charm City Kings is based on Baltimore, and kids growing up in Baltimore and looking up to these biker guys, these biker gangs out in the streets. And I like how he was very respectful to the culture. Like he's Puerto Rican, man. So what does he know about like the biker inner city culture of Baltimore? But I really like the way he played the characters. The characters were very fleshed out. I feel like it's so easy, especially with minority characters, just turn them into villains, caricatures of, just gangbangers and narcos and stuff like that. So, but I think with this story, you can see kind of like the people who normally be the villain were also kind of heroes. And it's so cool because they're all human, everybody's a hero in their own story, and everybody's kind of a villain in somebody else's story. But everybody has their reasons for doing what they're doing, and they can only go based on the information they have. They make their choices based on the information they have and based on their experiences that they've gone through. So that was very good. I think it was very respectful. I thought it was very eye opening. Um, the way he did it, the cinematography was off the hook, the camera work, the way he built the characters, the story, he let the scenes breathe. It sounded good, man. It looked good, man. So I can see him pulling off some interesting Jaime Reyes stories, man. Um, you know, Jaime Reyes in the comics is not in necessarily an inner city kid. He's from El Paso, but he is kind of a family kid. He does care about his family, so I can see Soto bringing in that flavor, that Latino flavor. He did talk about it. Um, he does say that this is more going to be more of a passion project for him, and his family was like super excited. Even though he says his family doesn't know who the hell Blue Beetle is, but they know it's a big deal because it's for DC. So I feel like he's gonna come out and you know and work his ass off because he does describe the magnitude of this project, and this is going to be his biggest project too by far. So when he described what this project was going to look like, this is when it sold me because this is the part where I became inspired. He described three movies that would influence the vibe of his Blue Beetle vision. The first one he said was Akira, which I believe is an anime film from 1988. Very interesting. It's got a lot of like futuristic cyberpunk feel to it. Also, the movie Drive, which I have not seen. So I don't know what kind of elements he would get into it. Maybe the speed, or I don't know. And then he said Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim, I forget what the story is about, but I remember the visuals were stunning. The colors, everything was cool. Then he starts describing like the soundtrack. He would put J Balvin, Bad Bunny, and then he put some norteño music in it. I'm like, yeah, dude, he's gonna put some of that Latin flavor in it, man. Uh, so I liked it, man. I really liked it. So, and back to like the visuals, I guess what he was describing, what the movie that he was gonna say. I think he described it as a modern, which I think is kind of like futuristic. Uh, and he described it as a modern tropical psychedelic trip. Oof. I was like, that's where I was so like, that sounds cool, man. That just sounds cool, man. You know, I mean, we saw what Snyder did with Cyborg, and they showed what is possible with the technological character. You know, Cyborg really leveled up. Like, usually a character like that gets reduced to the guy on the radio, that hacks into stuff. But dude, he was hacked in 24/7, and he was actually boots on ground. He was with the team. He was not just a guy on the radio. And I think that was helpful because that also opened up a blueprint for Jaime Reyes. Um, the movie media outlets have been pretty positive about this have been pretty receptive of it. A lot of people think that it's going to go straight to HBO Max because maybe they're saying it's a risky character. But back to the Miles Morales, I think it'd be cool if, because of Miles Morales, they went ahead and take that risk and send this guy to the theater. I think that would be cool. But and for a lot of people that are familiar with Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, everybody seems to like him. You look at the comment sections, people will say positive things, and maybe it's because he's going under the radar. But eventually, as he rises in popularity, I think that he will. The haters will come. It's like he's not on the haters' radar yet, but they will come for him. And as far as like the next big announcement, like this book got a little bit of a pop when they announced the director, but it wasn't a huge pop. Uh, but this book will have another pop, and I think it's going to be when they announce the actor. There's a few actors that they're thinking about. There was that kid from On My Block. I forget what his name is. They were also talking about the Austin kid from The Wizards of Waverly Place. But there's also this one that I think, in my opinion, is the best fit. Like, when I told the woman about this, she was instantly excited. I was like, Blue Beetle played by Cholo, the Miguel Diaz guy from Cobra Kai. And she instantly got excited because I guess she was able to envision this kid as that nerdy Peter Parker type, you know. Um, and I really like that, and I think that is really exciting. So I think this book will pop when they announce it. So we know numbers don't lie, right? But people do. People do lie. Numbers don't. Um, but we all know stats 101. Numbers can be skewed, manipulated, and misrepresented. All right. So we got to take numbers with a grain of salt, y'all. So let's look at the Go Collect numbers. So when we're looking at this book, man, obviously, you know, some increases, man. Right now, 9.8 is right here. The full market value is 260, and 9.6 is 120. We know that Go Collect kind of lags a little bit when it comes to prices. The last one sold for 153. There's one that sold for 185. So who knows, man? I think that might have been a menace, but this is still a relatively cheap book. But you can kind of see that, you got cheap prices, and then every once in a while you'll see a pop. Um, let's look at the 9/8 right here: 224, 449, 300, 135, 150, 187. So these prices are a little bit all over the place, and I think it's because it's flying under the radar. It's not like everything that everybody's latched onto, but I feel like there are people that are catching onto this book. I think there's a lot of sellers who are probably selling this book thinking that they should dump it now, and that's okay. But this book is very up and down right now. When we look at the values, 9/8, 144, 125%, 172%, 33%. So you are seeing some trending prices that are going up. But then again, we have to take into account this book. I don't think will peak till I don't think it'll peak until after the movie, or maybe after we start seeing when we see um, some trailer action. Also, it'd be cool if DC decided to do a video game for it. Like, in order for this book to be a modern grail, Jaime Reyes has to be present in more than one media format. He has to be in toys. He has to be on cookies, Oreo cookie wrappers, whatever, in order for him to become more of a modern grail, I guess. In order for this to work out, but he does have all the potential to do so. This character is an excellent character. The more research I did on him, the more I liked him. I am going to read the comic books, so I might do an updated video about this, thinking what are some of the cool stories that I felt that they're going to be picking out of the books. And that's another thing I want to add. The director seemed to be familiar with the source material, which is kind of a sigh of relief, man. Because a lot of times I feel with like things with like Birds of Prey, and the Harley Quinn, a lot of the DC stuff, like Suicide Squad, they just disrespected the source material. They just ignored it all completely, and in return, the fans of the source material ignored their movies completely as well. So there was no one to champion for them at the end. I think that's a huge mistake when you ignore the hardcore fans to do something else, right? Because the hardcore fans are going to be the people who champion for your movie, who are the ones who are motivated enough to go out to the forums and social media and say why this stuff is good, But yeah, man, that's it for my talk on Jaime Reyes. This, I believe, is going to be the next Modern Grail. Has the next potential to be the next Ultimate Fallout 4, the next Miles Morales, and it would just be epic, right, for the future generations. Where you have, your Iron Man and your Captain America in Marvel, and in DC you got your Batman and your Superman. For the next generation, to where you have your Miles Morales and your Blue Beetle. How epic would that be? But yeah, you guys let me know. What is it? You guys believe in Jaime Reyes? What are your guys' experiences with Jaime Reyes? And yeah, man. With that being said, man, I'll catch you guys on the next one, and stay up. All right, peace.